So things are getting even more disturbing in all the recent regulations that various governments are trying to enact on their people to enable them to remove your anonymity online and track what you're doing, demanding you to submit things like facial scans, banking information, credit card information to use websites. And this seems to all be getting rolled out and very quickly escalating more and more. And this is another example of that right here. Breaking. Senator Roberts reveals e-safety commissar has required from December 2025 that Australians be required to ID in order to use Apple and Google Maps. So no, this is not about stopping children from accessing adult websites. They are, according to this, requiring Australians to submit their ID to use Apple and Google Maps, giving government real-time location tracking as well as live user verification via camera for access. And so in the 5-minute clip that we're about to watch, we have Senator Roberts in Australia essentially calling out the commission who's trying to put forth these regulations. And he does make some good points, in my opinion, which you'll see in just a second as we go through the clip together. And it's also just funny seeing the e-safety commission getting called out like this. You can tell that there's sort of people who would not like being called out like this, right? They want to control the agenda. They're probably not happy with this guy coming up here and saying, the stuff that you're about to see. I guess without further ado, here's the clip.
Roberts.
Thank you. And I thank Senator Babette for this motion, which One Nation supports. In the recent election, One Nation campaigned against government overreach. The Internet Search Engine Services Online Safety Code for Class 1A and 1B material is a textbook case of government overreach. The e-safety commissar rejected the original code from the search industry, which was based on their knowledge of what was technically achievable. Instead, her office produced their own mandatory code with stronger provisions which are seriously flawed. The code is designed to regulate the search industry to stop children accessing harmful material, including online pornography and material showing high impact violence or self-harm. That's a worthy cause, yet with dangerous implications. To achieve this, every search engine must include robust age verification. In practice, this brings search engines and similar sites under the purview of the Identity Verification Services Act and the Social Media Minimum Age Bill. Legislation that was passed for social media and is now being extended to internet search without further reference to Parliament or any justification for doing so. Google or Bing search, as well as sites like TinEye, stock photo sites, YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble and bizarrely Google Maps and Apple Maps will now require proof of age for every user.
So they weren't even trying to explain this. They're just trying to subtly roll this through, hoping no one notices, along with the other stuff. Oh yeah, we're protecting kids, and we're going to do all this other stuff too. Hopefully no one notices, and hopefully no one says anything about it.
A trial of age verification software last year actually failed. It wasn't possible to tell age accurately. It can detect that someone is a child, yet not whether they are 15 or 16, making the technology pointless.
I mean, it's good of him to criticize it, but obviously it's also gotten knowing if it's a child or not wrong too, not just the age itself.
The only way to establish age is with biometric data, a face scan with photo ID. As I've already spoken about, age verification for holding an account does not work without continuous facial scanning to ensure the person who signed into the browser is still the person using it.
That's a fair point. I don't know why I never thought about that before.
If the search engine detects a face it does not recognise, again through continuous scanning, search engines must show only child-friendly material.
I mean, yeah, that point alone kind of defeats a lot of the arguments that the people trying to roll all this out on use. It's okay, you got the scan, but you can't guarantee that person is still the one using that anyway, so it's all pointless. It's all pointless.
This ensures every person will...
Of course, the ultimate point was them just collecting this data and spying on people anyways, but that is kind of funny too.
...need to provide biometric data to access one of these services or only see the child-friendly results. So I'll say that again. This ensures every person will need to provide biometric data to access one of these services. These extreme measures have a point to them. Every user of any platform that disseminates accurate information the government doesn't like can now be regulated.
Yeah, and like he was getting at, they could just keep escalating it, going from, a one-time verification to every 15 minutes we need you to submit this biometric data so we can be sure that you're really the same one who initially provided it. Or what if they take it even further than that and they're like, to use this website or this app, you need to allow your camera to be on so we can continually scan your face. Yeah, there's way too many floodgates that are being opened.
And material taken down in the name of keeping us safe. Censorship. Any link, anywhere in the world. What a power to have. How long before any post critical of the government gets taken down as dangerous?
Yeah, we're already seeing that happening too. I mean, a lot of examples of this. I'm going to instantly just cite like Reddit as an example. You know, if you say certain things that criticize certain politicians that the hive mind on Reddit wants to prop up, they get those, not just those posts removed, they've gotten like entire subreddits removed for that too.
The person gets a police visit, which is happening right now in the United Kingdom under very similar laws.
Or that, which is obviously even worse. Like the Reddit stuff is bad enough, but like actually have the cops show up to your door is crazy. Is crazier. And I've talked about that a few days ago with that Telford woman who was the victim and gave her testimony.
The code includes specific provisions which have no relevance to the core mission of the e-safety officer. Like item 12, a search engine provider must take reasonable steps to identify a reputable organisation to provide information on eating disorders to become an eating disorders crisis intervention partner, including the provision of a hotline which the search engine must promote in search results. Remember, search results include maps and AI. Hey Siri, show me a map of Brisbane. Sure, Malcolm, here's the map, and I put our eating disorder crisis prevention partner on there for you. That's how this thing is written. If it's not written, if it's not the intention, well, that's what happens when the government walks away from industry consultation and writes the code itself. The e-safety commissar is there to protect children from violent material and exploitation, not eating disorders. The framing of that section begs the question, who will be the next crisis prevention partner? We do have a hint. Item 22, a search provider must engage annually with safety and communication organisations such as civil society groups, public interest groups and representatives of marginalised communities and academics to inform their measures. A search engine provider knows what child exploitation and violent material looks like. They don't need academics to tell them. This provision provides a clear power for the e-safety commissar to declare a social issue as harmful to children. If not, what's it doing here? This code is designed to formalise the process of taking down links to any messaging which the e-safety commissar deems wrongthink under the guise of that information being harmful, as they did during COVID, often for material that was later shown to be factual. When is the Liberal Party going to wake up to this agenda and stand up for everyday Australians instead of walking in lockstep with the Albanese government's communist agenda? One Nation would repeal this code, sack the e-safety commissar, repeal the digital ID bill and return the Office of E-Safety to its core job of taking down material that's child abuse and exploitation, revenge porn and overly violent. A job it has done well before this e-safety
Senator
commissar...
Roberts, your time has expired. Senator Antic.
Holy smokes. And that's another great point there he said at the end really quick. There is like horrible, explicit, terrible stuff out there that does exploit children and, you know, terrible stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about. And he mentioned how the E-Safety Commission, to their credit, had gone after stuff like that in the past, but now for whatever reason, let's divert time and resources to all this other nonsense instead. So let me know what you guys think about that stuff. Obviously, I am not an expert in Australian politics or even a journeyman or whatever the word would be. So I'm very limited in like what I can reasonably comment on from that clip, but there were still, regardless, a number of points that he made that I think were very reasonable criticisms of all of these policies and regulations that Australia and other governments are trying to enact. And that takes me to the subreddit for Australia, or our Australians specifically. And this post that I also thought was rather interesting, it says, I fear the YouTube ban will make my child less safe. And quick context on that, you might recall this article we read here on the channel 6 days ago in a part of a different video where Reuters had the headline, Australia widens teen social media ban to YouTube, scraps exemption. And the bullet point saying, Prime Minister tells parents we have your backs. Ban set to take effect in December. Other sites objected to YouTube's exemption. And after we read the rest of that Reddit post from the concerned parent pointing out issues with this ban, We'll watch this clip because while I read the article before, I didn't watch this clip, so that sounds like it could be interesting. It's only 2.5 minutes long. And before we get to that, though, let's go back to that Reddit post from the concerned parent who's pointing out issues with this new regulation. If my understanding is correct, they said that my daughter will not be able to have a YouTube account, but will be able to access YouTube not logged in. At the moment, the account that we have for my daughter, A, limits content, B, removes advertising. If she can only access YouTube without an account, then won't she be subject to all content and adverts? I don't understand how this makes sense. And the top response here reads, yes, that's how it works. The ban removes your child's ability to have an account, but still allows them to watch logged out. That means no parental filters, no ad-free viewing, and no watch history for you to check. No parental filters? Oh, we're trying to keep kids safe. Let's stop parents from having parental filters. You shouldn't rely on them. You should just rely on us, the government. Trust us. We're here to protect you. YouTube Kids is an option, but it's only designed for children up to around 12 years old, with a limited content library and no interaction features. Teens above that age will be pushed into anonymous viewing, where you lose nearly all control. Alternatives that YouTube might figure out how to restrict: use a parent account in your name to keep filters active, use browse filters or parental control apps for extra protection. Experts have pointed out that this law removes safer tools instead of improving them. Wonderful. All right, that takes us back here to Reuters. Let's roll the clip.
Importantly, following advice from the eSafety Commissioner, young people under the age of 16 will not be able to have accounts on YouTube.
Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said on Wednesday that the government will include YouTube in its world-first ban on social media for teenagers. This reverses an earlier exemption and could prompt a legal challenge. The decision followed the internet regulator's call to overturn YouTube's exclusion after a survey showed 37% of minors reported seeing harmful content on the site.
Oh yeah, we have this survey, guys. Just trust it. Now we have to regulate this stuff and demand your ID, and even demand your ID for Google Maps and all that.
The highest among social media platforms.
Oh, and we need to take away your parental controls. Trust us, it's going to make things better. We're the government and we're here to help.
Communications Minister Anika Wells emphasized the government's commitment to protecting children online.
We are implementing these rules and this law on behalf of parents who want and deserve better protections for their kids online.
So your idea of a better approach is making it so parents can't use parental controls anymore and instead have to rely on the government to do everything? I mean, the jokes just write themselves. This has to be one of the worst ways they could have went about this, and it must be intentional in my opinion. What's scary is that there might actually be a number of Australian parents, and I'm not saying all Australian parents are like this, I'm saying there might be some out there who are fully supportive of this. They think like, oh, I don't want to have to deal with those parental controls. Maybe they're too complicated, or it's just too much responsibility for me. Yes, daddy government, I'm just going to have you deal with parenting my kid.
We want kids to know who they are before platforms assume who they are, which is why I want to be clear about YouTube. The evidence cannot be ignored that 4 out of 10 Australian kids report that their most recent harm was on YouTube.
What does that even mean exactly, most recent harm?
The decision broadens the ban set to take effect in December and will now block YouTube accounts for under 16s, but parents and teachers can still show videos to minors. Last year, a decision was made to exempt YouTube from the social media ban due to its popularity with teachers. Since then, other banned platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok have complained. They said YouTube is similar to their platforms, allowing user interaction and algorithm-based content recommendations. YouTube says it should not be classified as social media because its main activity is hosting videos. The reversal renews conflict with Alphabet, YouTube's parent company, which threatened to pull some Google services from Australia in 2021 over a law requiring it to pay news outlets for content appearing in searches. Last week, YouTube told Reuters it had urged the government to uphold the integrity of the legislative process. Australian media said YouTube threatened a court challenge, but YouTube did not confirm that. The law passed in November 2024 requires social media platforms to take reasonable steps to block under 16s or face fines of up to about $32 million. The government has said that the results of an age-checking report due this month will guide how the ban is enforced.
Something else crazy is how the other day I also talked about how in the UK, the Office of Communications was applying similar things to social media platforms. For example, here from The Telegraph, they had said, the law, referring to the Online Safety Act, which regulates online speech, allows the British government to levy massive fines on companies like Apple, Truth Social, and X if it finds that rules on hate speech have been broken. Even going on to say, under the law, social media giants face fines of up to 18 million euros, or roughly 24 million USD when converted, or 10% of their annual revenue, if they fail to remove content deemed harmful from their platforms. Again, very reminiscent to what we just discussed and watched regarding what's going on in Australia. So around the same time, you got these two countries both pressuring these platforms in similar ways. Is the timing coincidental? Let me know what you think. And that's where I'm going to leave this one. But as always, thank you for tuning in. And if you enjoyed my coverage, please consider liking and/or subscribing. It truly helps out and I appreciate it. I'll see you here and then in the next one, which should be tomorrow.